Hey guys, Nate here again, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite pieces of my collection, and that is my Nintendo Virtual Boy collection. The Virtual Boy was released in 1995. It was a pretty big failure for Nintendo. I think it only shipped like 750,000 units or something, but not really here to talk about the history, more here to talk about the games that came out for it. Over the years, I've managed to amass the entire 14-game US library, and kind of wanted to go over each game just briefly and kind of share my thoughts and see what you guys might think about it. Up first we have Golf, and I really like this box art here. It's kind of looks like this dude's just like sitting on a toilet playing one of those fancy rich guy golf putter practice things, and I don't know, I just always thought it was kind of funny. And my copy lets you know that it is Golf on the Virtual Boy, because somebody decided to tape a label onto a box that already is labeled. So, I don't know. All in all, it's a pretty fun little golf game. Suffers a little bit from the monochrome screen of the Virtual Boy, but not a terrible game, just not something I'd want to play for an extended period of time. Up next we have Nestor's Funky Bowling. And if you remember Nestor, he was kind of a mascot of Nintendo Power, the late 80s, early 90s. But his inclusion in this game is kind of strange because there's really nothing funky about this bowling game. It's pretty straightforward and standard bowling. I think the box art with Nestor on it is the best part of the entire game. So, nothing too special, unfortunately. Up next we have Vertical Force. And this is kind of a vertical shmup. Not too bad. Again, the monochrome screen kind of kills it, but pretty solid little game. One of the better games on the Virtual Boy, in my opinion. Up next is Panic Bomber, and you're going to notice a theme here, but this game is more of a match 3 puzzle game than a traditional Bomberman game, which is kind of unfortunate because I think a Bomberman game would probably work better on the Virtual Boy than a match 3 game, just due to the colors. They did try to compensate for the lack of colors with a variety of shapes and like shading on each shape to make it a little easier to determine what you're trying to match, but not super fun, but not bad either. Just one more game in the library. Up next we have Red Alarm, and this game is kind of a Star Fox-esque space shooter. All the graphics have kind of a wireframe appearance to them, and that's kind of the downfall of this game because due to the transparency of all the objects, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not you're going to fly through something or above something, and some of the projectiles get kind of lost in the shuffle. So, not terrible, but one of the games that I'm not too hot on either. Next we have Virtual League Baseball. And to be honest, I've never played this game. This copy is actually still sealed. When I was trying to complete this collection, I found this on eBay for like $5, and I figured might as well get the brand new one, because why not? But haven't really had a desire to play baseball on the Virtual Boy, but from the screenshot on the back, it looks pretty standard. But if I ever do feel like busting out some baseball on the Virtual Boy, I might give this a shot. Next we have Teleroboxer, and this is a futuristic boxing game. You utilize the 2 D-pads on the controller to control both fists of your boxer. Kind of a tough game, actually. I've only managed to make it through about 4 or 5 of the characters. I think there's 8 or 9 total. But one of the better games on the Virtual Boy, in my opinion. Does a pretty good job of showing off the 3D capabilities. Up next we have probably the best game on the Virtual Boy, and that is Virtual Boy Wario Land. And this game plays similarly to Wario Land 2 or 3 if you've played either of those two. My dog's freaking out up there. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, it's a pretty solid game, actually. You kind of jump between the foreground and the background to do different things, kill enemies, solve puzzles, enter doors. Pretty solid little platformer, though. Probably the best game on the system. Up next we have Mario Clash, and this is another pretty good game. It's kind of a 3D take on the original Mario Brothers arcade game. You kind of shoot or throw turtle shells, Koopa shells, from the background to the foreground to take out the enemies, the crabs and other Koopas and miscellaneous enemies. Pretty fun little arcade game. Definitely recommended on the Virtual Boy if you have one. Up next is Galactic Pinball, and this is a pretty standard video pinball game. The ball physics are kind of floaty and weird, and the playfield isn't super exciting, but not a terrible game, I guess, but not one I would rush back to play anytime soon. Next we have 3D Tetris, and I friggin' hate this game. I really love Tetris, but this game, much like many of the other Tetris versions, just kind of changes it up a little bit too much and doesn't feel like Tetris anymore. With this one, the gimmick is that you're trying to fill up like a 3D cube with Tetris pieces instead of just stacking them vertically. And I don't think it works that well. I would not recommend this game to anybody ever for any reason. Up next we have Mario's Tennis, and this game was actually bundled with the Virtual Boy. The box, however, was only available through Blockbuster Video. If you'll notice, it has a for display only tag down here at the bottom. So I guess this was the box that would sit in front of the rental cases on the shelf. And the only way to get it was, I guess, either get it from a Blockbuster employee or buy a used copy of the game when they stopped renting it. The box sells for a pretty good amount of money now. I'm not sure what it's exactly going for at this point in time, but when I was looking for it, it was selling for around $50 to $60 just for the cardboard box alone. I didn't pay nearly that much for it because mine's kind of beat up, but I'm not too concerned about that. It's nice just to have it since it's really hard to find. And rounding it up here, we have Waterworld. And if you know anything about Waterworld, the movie, you know that the game can't be much better. The graphics are just terrible. Like the whole game is a mess. And the funniest part to me is on the back it says for 1 to 9 players. Like anybody could find 8 other people with Waterworld and a Virtual Boy to play with. But unfortunately for those people who may have wanted to play it, the link cable for the Virtual Boy never came out, so the multiplayer never worked. And finally, for the US releases is Jack Brothers, and it's published by Atlas. Not really much to say about this game. It's a pretty fun little top-down action puzzle game. You kind of drop between layers from top to bottom, and utilizes the 3D effect pretty well. Pretty fun game, actually. Unfortunately, this game commands a really high price right now. I think complete in box it's selling for between $300 and $400. Fortunately, I didn't pay nearly that much for it. When I picked this up years ago, it was probably closer to $60, which still may be a little bit too much for a Virtual Boy game, but I'm okay with that, I guess. And finally, we have a game called Bound High, and this was never officially released. It was slated to come out in the second wave of Virtual Boy games, but the system was canceled before this game ever had a chance to come out, and a prototype was found a few years back, and the ROM was dumped and put on some carts, and a guy on Nintendo Age, Uncle Tusk, sold these packages for around $65, I think, a couple years ago. I'm not sure if they're still available. I don't think they are. It was a pretty limited little run, but really cool thing to have. The game's actually pretty solid too. If you can find a ROM of it, the Virtual Boy emulator works pretty well. If you have some red and blue 3D glasses, you can kind of get a better effect of it, but not a terrible little game, and I would recommend it if you can find it anywhere. And finally, just one more little weird thing that I wanted to share are these Virtual Boy for your eyes only 3D glasses. And these came with an issue of Nintendo Power probably in late 94, early 95, before the system came out. And I have the issue somewhere in a box, but I didn't feel like digging for it. But I just thought they were kind of neat, and I wanted to look like a nerd on camera more than I already do. So anyways, guys, that's the Nintendo Virtual Boy, and every game released in the United States. There are a handful of games in Japan that never came out here. A few of those are really expensive, so I don't know that I'll ever pick those up. But if you guys have any input on this video or would like to just chat a little bit about the Virtual Boy, leave a comment down below, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.